You do not keep choosing the same kind of person because you are stupid. You do not keep returning to the same emotional pattern because you secretly want to suffer. Something deeper is happening. The nervous system does not always choose what is good. It often chooses what is familiar. And if love first arrived mixed with distance, criticism, chaos, silence, or control, then peace can feel suspicious and pain can feel like chemistry. That is the trap. You are not only attracted to a person. You may be attracted to a wound you are still trying to solve. By the end of this video, you are going to understand why certain people pull you in even when part of you knows they are dangerous. You will see how old emotional patterns disguise themselves as attraction. You will understand why unavailable people can feel more compelling than available ones. And you will learn a practice for separating real connection from the intensity of an activated wound. This is not about blaming your past. It is about seeing the pattern clearly enough that it stops choosing for you. Imagine meeting someone who feels electric. The conversation moves fast. The eye contact is charged. You feel seen, but not fully safe. There is just enough warmth to pull you closer, and just enough distance to make you work for it. You start checking for signs. Did they mean what they said? Are they losing interest? Should you be cooler, more impressive, less available? Then someone else appears in your life. Kind, consistent, direct. They answer messages. They tell the truth. They do not make you guess. And somehow, your body feels less interested. You call it no spark. You say they are too nice. You say something is missing. But what if what is missing is not chemistry? What if what is missing is the old alarm? What if your body learned to confuse anxiety with attraction because anxiety was present in the earliest places you learned to reach for love? The psyche repeats what it has not integrated. This does not mean you consciously want pain. It means the unconscious keeps returning to the scene of the original wound, hoping this time the ending will change. If you were not chosen, you may be drawn to people who make you compete to be chosen. If you were criticized, you may be drawn to people whose approval feels hard to win. If closeness was unpredictable, you may be drawn to relationships that alternate between warmth and withdrawal. The shadow pattern here is not simply bad taste. It is an old loyalty to familiar pain. Some part of you believes that if you can finally get love from this kind of person, the original wound will be healed. If the distant one chooses me, then I am chosen. If the critical one approves of me, then I am enough. If the chaotic one stays, then I am safe. But the present person cannot repair the original wound while reenacting it. They can only keep the nervous system trapped in the same negotiation. This is why the pattern feels so convincing. It does not feel like a pattern from the inside. It feels like destiny. It feels like intensity. It feels like there is something about this person. And there may be. But intensity is not the same as intimacy. Activation is not the same as love. There is also a hidden identity inside the repetition. If you have spent years being the one who waits, the one who proves, the one who understands complicated people. Then leaving the pattern can feel like losing a role. You may not know who you are when you are not trying to be chosen. You may not know how to stand in a relationship where your worth is not constantly being tested. That unfamiliar emptiness can pull you back toward the old drama, because at least in the drama, you know what to do. Now here is the part most people avoid. You may not only be afraid of being hurt, you may also be afraid of being loved without having to earn it. Consistent love can feel exposing. If someone is actually available, the chase stops. The performance has nowhere to hide. You cannot keep proving your worth through pursuit. You have to receive. And receiving may be the most unfamiliar thing of all. This is why healthy connection can feel boring at first. Not because it is empty, but because it does not spike the old survival system. It does not recreate the emotional weather your body learned to track. Peace can feel like absence before it starts to feel like safety. The practice is to slow down attraction long enough to study what it is made of. When you feel pulled toward someone, ask your body, do I feel expanded or contracted? Do I feel more like myself or less like myself? Am I curious about who they are, or am I trying to become who I think they will choose? Am I responding to this person, or am I trying to win an old argument with my past? Then use this sentence. This feels familiar, but familiar does not always mean safe. You do not have to cut everyone off. You do not have to become suspicious of every spark. The goal is not fear. The goal is discernment. Real connection can be exciting, but it does not require self-abandonment as the entry fee. For today, write down 3 traits that have repeatedly pulled you toward people who later hurt you. Then beside each trait, write the older emotional promise it seems to make. For example, unavailable equals finally being chosen. Critical equals finally being good enough. Intense equals finally feeling alive. Once you see the promise, you can stop mistaking it for truth. Then add one more line. What would safe love feel like if my body did not need the old alarm to recognize it? This question matters because you are not only breaking attraction to pain, you are building tolerance for peace. At first, peace may feel quiet. Too quiet. Stay with it. Let the nervous system learn that quiet does not mean absence. Sometimes quiet is what love sounds like when it is not mixed with fear. You do not keep choosing people who hurt you because you are broken. You keep approaching a familiar wound because part of you is still hoping for a different ending. That hope deserves compassion, but it also needs interruption. The person who reopens the wound is not automatically the person who can heal it. Sometimes the deepest healing begins when you stop auditioning for the same role in the same story. You let consistency feel strange. You let peace feel unfamiliar. You let your body learn a new definition of love. In the next episode, we go into a shadow pattern that looks noble from the outside, but is often built from fear, control disguised as care. Subscribe so you do not miss it, and leave a comment with one pattern you are finally ready to stop calling chemistry.